Hello, thank you so much for joining me to learn more about the Shamanic Dog Training Group Program. It's an online live program, and we meet each week together to work on shamanic dog training and develop our relationship with our dogs. My name's Tamryn Fudge. I'm the teacher of this program, and I also am the one who developed Shamanic Dog Training, so you might not have heard of it before. And I bet you're curious about it, and I'm so glad to be able to tell you about it today. So I'm going to tell you about both things, about the program and also about Shamanic Dog Training, because there might be a curiosity about both. Shamanic Dog Training might be for you if you're really interested in understanding your dog and having your dog understand you, to have you both develop a deeper connection and to really sustain and nourish your relationship with each other so that you can feel really close to each other and trust each other, even if things aren't going very well. One of the aspects of Shamanic Dog Training is how practical it is. Practical is the word. And so there is a real understanding that there are no guarantees or promises. So you're going to take the program and you will learn many, many, many things and have great tools and great principles to work with. But there are still moments that kind of fall apart in all of our lives with our dogs. I've got over 25 years experience working with my dogs. And I have to tell you that things fall apart for me on a regular basis. You can't predict what's going to happen out there. So Shamanic Dog Training is really supportive for us to develop an ability to be realistic and practical about our time and our life with our dog. Part of the reason for that is I don't want you to be afraid of getting out there. You know, it can feel overwhelming, especially if we're attached to the idea that our dogs have to be perfect and we have to be perfect. And if you're out there and your dog's being a goofball, or it's a bit of a gong show, especially in the beginning of developing skills, or maybe in a very unusual situation. You know, you're at the farmer's market maybe, and there's a band that's playing that's making unusual, exciting sounds, and your dog starts to hype up in the middle of a crowd. That's a normal thing to happen. So in Shamanic Dog Training, we talk about these things so you can be prepared for them. The understanding with Shamanic Dog Training is that there are no promises and there are no guarantees. Gosh, I'm sorry, this doesn't sound very positive, does it? But the best part about really being forthright with that, and this is called 2PI, it's called full disclosure. I'm having full disclosure with you right now. 2PI is one of the principles you're going to learn to have with your dog. Full disclosure. No, full transparency, no secrets, nothing to hide. So I'm not going to hide anything. That's what the program's all about, to equip you and your dog for getting out there. So you two don't feel shy about going to family events or going camping or going to the lake or trying a new experience. It's practical and simple and easy. Let's put it that way. We're going to depart. We're going to take a left turn or maybe a right turn, but we're going to move away from obedience. I don't know if you've tried obedience, and that really entails teaching your dog sit, stay, come, heel, and down, or maybe some variation of those, with the idea that those will become so solid, some dog trainers call it bomb-proof, that your dog will have bomb-proof obedience commands, and then when you're out there, when your dog's in that crowd at the farmer's market, and they're starting to go wild or they're starting to get scared, that you would be able to say sit or lay down, and your dog will turn off all their emotions and just focus completely on you, even though they're so flustered by everything. The idea with obedience is then that you'll be able to guide your dog to tell them how to perform. For some of us, I don't know about you, but I have found a real limitation with that. It doesn't really give your dog enough information about the situation, and it can create an inability for them to let go of their uneasiness or their excitement or their frustration. In Shamanic Dog Training, we acknowledge that that's a natural thing that happens for both us and our dog. And our real exploration then is, how do we understand that life goes up and down and up and down and around the corner? And how can we still be brave enough and confident enough to get out there with our dogs? So we're not looking for perfection in shamanic dog training, but we are looking, you and your dog are going to be able to trust each other. You're going to have a real understanding of what you're capable of. You're going to have an understanding of how to steer out of situations because you're going to have so many tools. I'm going to show you many, many, many tools and skills. Have you noticed that the program is 4 months long? That's 4 months long. We meet each week. That's a lot of weeks. Every week we're going to build. I'm going to take you from start to finish. That means you don't have to have any clue about shamanic studies. You don't have to have any experience with dog training. I'm going to educate you from the beginning to the finish with shamanic dog training, with the idea that in those 4 months, you and your dog will build something together. That you're going to have something anchored and that's working in your life. The nice thing about the live classes is you're going to be able to ask all the questions that you need to. You're going to be there advocating for yourself, and you're going to be able to say in a lesson, you know what, that sounds great, what you're saying, but that doesn't apply to us at our house. Our backyard doesn't look like that, or I don't have a backyard, or I live on a boat. Whatever it might be, we will be able to adapt and work with your situation, adapt the skills and the lessons. Doesn't that sound wonderful? And also learning with another, a group of other people who feel the very same way you do about dogs. If you're lucky, then lots of people in your life have the same feeling that you do about dogs, that you believe that they're conscious beings, and you believe that they're aware, and you believe they have a right to be seen and heard for who they are, and that you're interested in, assisting them and supporting them in expressing their lives out in the world and having a really fun time. However, if you're like some of us, maybe we don't have a lot of people like that in our lives. Some of us, you might be the one who is the gaga over your dog, who spoils your dog too much. You might be in a family or in a group of friends who might see it as, well, I know that some people say things like it's just a dog, right? So wouldn't it be great to be in a group of other people meeting every single week, really nourishing each other with our passion for our dogs, our joy for our dogs, and our understanding that they are unique individuals with intelligence and emotions, and they really require support in existing in this weird human world that we've dragged them into. Good on them for showing up and being in our lives. In the program, you are going to learn very practical skills. You're going to learn how to teach your dog not to pull on the leash. I don't know if your dog pulls on the leash or not, but if it feels helpful to be able to walk around without your dog pulling, if that would allow you to go and do more things with your dog. The main focus with shamanic dog training the question is, will it allow you and your dog to do more things together, and will it allow your dog to be more included in your life? That's the whole goal of shamanic dog training, is for your dog to be included more in your life. That takes a little bit of discipline in order to get that freedom, but it's so doable. So, not pulling on the leash. What about coming when called? And you're going to learn, I'd say, 3 or 4 or 5 different exercises and lessons and skills that all relate to being able to get to your dog when you need to when you're out there, which is very different than a singular come command that you might learn in other training systems. You're going to learn a great selection of recall tools that will allow you to kind of move from tool to tool, from idea to idea, from plan A to plan B, depending on what is facing you in the moment. So we're not looking for perfection. We're not saying this one thing has to work. And that's what we're going to pin all our hopes and dreams on. Because if you've done that, and I've done that, it can be so frustrating. And when you believe that other people are doing it better, or when you listen to some schools of thought that really guarantee or promise or tell us that is possible in every situation for every dog to perform flawlessly, if you have really heard that and you believe that, and your dog is the normal dog, every single dog cannot be guaranteed to come when they're called. If you have a dog that comes when they're called, guaranteed, I applaud you. That's wonderful. But some of us don't. Most of us don't. So coming when called is a really big aspect. And that's Again, the focus of shamanic dog training is not only to include your dog in your life, but hopefully gain some freedom. Maybe you can be out there and have more space, whether that means you're out on trails or beaches and maybe your dog is wearing a long line, or maybe they're actually dragging their long line, or maybe they are off the leash entirely. Whatever it might be, the goal behind shamanic dog training is for you and your dog to be able to be out there together more and have that freedom. And that sounds scary, but it's so doable. And that's why we're going to go week after week after week all together, for everybody to take those steps together. Another thing is boundaries. You're going to learn to teach your dog, instead of teaching them that wherever they are, you can say stay, and then they have to remember to stay where they are. We're simply going to really release that particular command. And instead, we're going to teach our dogs that they are responsible to never leave the house without permission, maybe never leave the backyard gate without permission, maybe not step out of the car without permission. Think about the camper or the campground. Think about all the places that you might like your dog to naturally, intrinsically understand that they are expected all by themselves, that you're not going to tell them every time, that if that front door flies open, or if you open it and you're packing the car, right, to go camping, or you're bringing groceries in, that your dog would just stand at the front door. And understand intrinsically, this is again without you policing them and without you saying, hey, stay, wait, none of that would happen. Your dog would naturally know to stand there and greet you and watch you go through the car, go back to the house, and understand that they can't step out. So we're looking for freedom here, and also the benefit of intrinsic teaching, which is teaching your dog that there's some things that they have to do all by themselves. And they'll get the support and coaching about how to achieve that. But once your dog becomes more aware of how to make choices and decisions, listen to that. Your dog becomes able to make their own choices and decisions based on the support that you've given them. That's what intrinsic teaching does. So we're going to take it from a system where just wait and do what you're told. Just wait, and then I'll tell you when you need to sit or stay or come or heel or lay down. Instead, we're going to give our dogs their own responsibility for their actions. And you might think, and actually, it might seem like that's impossible, but all of us are surprised at how quick it happens. Dogs just love having responsibility for themselves. They take to it very quickly, and they get sharper and more confident with it, and so do you. And listen, if the boundaries are in progress or aren't really strong yet, you're going to have so many backup ideas, so many alternative plans to the thing that you really want to have happen. And that's going to give you fluidity. That's going to allow you to not rely on one little thing that's going to work, but to understand that, well, if my dog breaks her boundary and runs out the door, well, now all my recall tools are going to be really, really helpful, right? So there's all these ways to say, I know what I'm doing out there. I know what I'm doing. We're going to work on manners as well. So manners with food, manners with people, manners with toys, right? Manners with other dogs. And so this is a really important, and manners with noise. Some dogs are kind of barky, right? This is a very important aspect of living with dogs as well. And again, we're going to do that intrinsically. Don't worry, you're going to learn all about it. The reason I'm telling you all this detail is shamanic dog training is very unique. And I want you to have a good idea of what it's all about. The last skill we work on is a command called stop. And it's, I think, the only real command, traditional command that we work on. And stop is teaching your dog that wherever they are, when they hear the word stop, they need to freeze in place so that you can get to them, or the bike can go by on the trail, or the car can go by on the driveway, whatever it is, you'll be able to say stop to your dog. And again, that skill, as you're developing it, if stop isn't really doing the trick in some situations, you'll have lots of other backup things. So you're going to have this buffet, this smorgasbord of skills that will support you and your dog. And none of them have to be perfect in order to have you and your dog be kind of willing and ready to get out there and do stuff together. How does that sound? So Shamanic Dog Training Group Program, it's online. We're going to meet every week to support you and your dog and support everybody else that's in the program. And we tend to be small groups. I love having a small group so we can get to know each other and you can ask your questions. I do limit it. I do restrict enrollment so it's not masses of people and you're lost in the shuffle. I do also encourage and request that you come to the live classes. So this is one that does require participation. Of course, I understand that sometimes we miss a class here and there. That's totally fine. But the intention will be that all of us are there every week together to build this so that you have something really worthwhile at the end. The last thing I'll tell you is let's just do 3 shamanic principles because you might be curious about, about the shamanic aspect of it, and it's so down to earth. The shamanism that supports this particular work is from the Andes in Peru, and those are practical people. They're farmers, they're herders, and it really is a down to earth and simple way of life. Right relationship, unconditional love, and fluidity. Those are 3 of the things that we'll be working on, among others, that will support you and your dog. Right relationship simply means that neither you or your dog is more important in the relationship. You'll meet each other where you are. Okay? When you're in right relationship with your dog and they understand the effort you're making to be in right relationship, it really helps them see what's going on and meet you halfway or where you're at. Unconditional love. Unconditional love really is all about ensuring that neither you or your dog worries at all about who's right or wrong. Unconditional love assumes that nobody is trying to take advantage of anyone else. Unconditional love assumes that no one's trying to manipulate a situation and it doesn't look for advantages. Unconditional love doesn't need to be right or wrong. Your dog does not have to be good or bad. What we look at then is how are we building our relationship together? So unconditional love. The last one is fluidity. And fluidity is being able to adapt to the current situation, even if it isn't the way you thought it would be, which happens probably on a daily basis with our dogs, that you think things are gonna work out this way and it turns up another way and it's unexpected. Just the other day, we went out in the morning to let our dogs out for a pee and there's a deer in the backyard that they just start screaming and yelling at. That was unexpected. And we had the tools to get our dogs back to us and calm everybody down because of fluidity, because of shamanic dog training. So fluidity, it will kind of save your skin. It will reduce that frustration and that friction of feeling like, I want it to be perfect and I'm looking for perfection. And if it doesn't look perfect and it's not working out this one way I thought it would, well, now I'm disappointed and I feel like I'm losing my confidence and I want to go hide in my house and never try this again. Fluidity is the opposite of that. It's, wow, let's try this. And if it's not working, let's try that. And if it didn't work today, let's think about what options we have and get back out there and go one more time or 2 more times or 10 more times. So if you're curious about shamanic dog training and this incredible group program and you think you'd like to join it, maybe you might have a few more questions before you're ready to join. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to join right now and I encourage you to do it. Please enroll. I'd love to have you. Don't forget it's a smaller group. So enroll as soon as you make your decision. Go ahead and enroll to save your spot. But if you're curious and you just would like a few more details, don't be shy about emailing me with your questions. My email is tamryn@theshamanicdogtrainer.com. Or if you feel like you'd like to talk to me directly, we could have an old-fashioned phone call. And if you scroll down on this page, this information page, all the way down to the bottom, around the frequently asked questions, which will be at the bottom, there's going to be an invitation for you to schedule a call with me. And it's called a conversation about shamanic dog training. And you can schedule some time and we can actually talk about it. Maybe you have a specific situation with your dog that you're curious about whether the program will support you. Or maybe there's other things you'd like to know about that aren't covered here in my long yakety yak talk. So those are your options. These are the things I encourage you to do. I encourage you to enroll if you're sure. I encourage you to email me if you've got some questions, and even consider scheduling a call with me so we can really determine if this is a good choice for you. And if you're still here, if you listen to this whole thing, I'm grateful. Thank you so much for staying with me and for listening to all of the information that I shared. And I so hope to see you in the Shamanic Dog Training online live group program.